Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be shedding light on how to build a lucrative investment portfolio without having any money to invest. How is this possible, you may ask? Without further ado, without further delay, allow me to demystify that answer to that inquiry right here, right now. Much to your dismay, much to your consternation, much to your chagrin, much to your grief, much to your agony, much to your distress, you have been indoctrinated to believe that the only way to cultivate a lucrative investment portfolio entails buying investment securities. You've been indoctrinated to believe that the only way to foster a lucrative investment portfolio entails procuring stocks with high dividend yields, index funds, mutual funds, annuities, rental properties, and of course, corporate bonds. Much to your elation, unbeknownst to you, there is a way in which you can grow a lucrative investment portfolio even if you lack a penny to expend. How is this possible? Well, it entails creating intellectual properties. You can bring intellectual properties to fruition without expending a single penny. If your intellectual properties as an aggregate underperform post being monetized, they still have the latent potential to generate revenue in perpetuity at any given time due to the global distribution power, due to the global digital distribution power of the internet. Your intellectual properties can reach out to billions of people simultaneously due to the global digital distribution power of the internet. Is quite phenomenal, to say the least. That's one of the perquisites appertaining to living in the digital era. So, what intellectual properties can be subsumed under your lucrative investment portfolio? Well, as an entrepreneur, you have the autonomy to bring to fruition videos, archived live stream broadcasts, songs, podcast episodes, audiobooks, ebooks, custom-made print-on-demand merchandise, online courses, software applications, mobile games, customizable templates, and of course, photos. People typically associate investing with expending money for the prospect of reaping capital gains and growing your net worth and building your wealth. However, you can produce your own intellectual properties, and not only do they have the latent potential to generate revenue in perpetuity post being monetized, but you could also sell your intellectual properties to others. You could relinquish the copyrights of your intellectual properties to others. There are a copious amount of multi-billion-dollar media franchises. And if you hold the master license to your intellectual properties, the outcome can be quite lucrative if there's all this pent-up demand for more content appertaining to your intellectual properties. The Pokemon franchise, the Lord of the Rings franchise, the Star Wars franchise are all multi-billion-dollar franchises. It can be quite beneficent to cultivate a lucrative investment portfolio without expending a penny, because if your income generating assets underperform, you would have not lost a penny because you did not part with a penny to create them. Income generating assets are not limited to being investment securities nor rental properties. They could also manifest themselves into reality in the form of intellectual properties. The income generating assets that you create can allow you to generate extreme wealth if they build traction and become viral income generating assets. You could produce viral worthy content and viral worthy products. To render your content all the more apt to become viral, it should be not only viral worthy, but also engagement worthy, share worthy, like worthy, algorithm recommendation worthy. And it should be apt to yield high engagement rates, high watch times, high audience retention rates, and high viewership rates. And you should utilize the utmost efficacious search engine optimization practices to render your content all the more discoverable. You also want to be able to cultivate a behemoth of a brand across a multitude of social media platforms. That way you can vector your target market to your product pages. You want to be able to not only produce worthwhile content, but also produce worthwhile, meritorious, stellar products. Your content, in tandem with your products, should be able to assuage an unfilled need or an unmet need among your target market. You want to become a dominant market competitor in the niche markets that you compete in. You want to become a dominant market competitor in the niche product markets that you compete in, as well as a dominant market competitor in the niche user-generated content markets that you compete in. You're vying for a market share against competitors, and it is imperative, it is incumbent, it is of eminent importance that you're able to not only maintain your foothold in the market, but also make an earnest, valiant attempt to grow your market share. You could utilize a copious amount of potent, efficacious, results-yielding, indirect and direct marketing tactics in order to spread awareness of your product offerings. You want your content to build traction. You want to leverage your social media channels as marketing vehicles to drive traffic, to drive prospective customers, to drive your target market to your product pages where they have autonomy to purchase your products at, if they so choose to, or purchase your products from. So, if you want to build a lucrative investment portfolio, realistically, it may take you at least 3 to 15 years of strategic hard work in which you unremittingly, ceaselessly, incessantly, strategically work hard for at least 14 to 18 hours per day and make an earnest attempt to produce viral-worthy content and viral-worthy products. But even if you falter, even if you do not reach that zenith, that milestone, that apex, that overarching goal of generating extreme wealth, you can still generate revenue from creating income generating assets to the extent that you're able to at least partially cover your recurring expenses or offset your recurring expenses, even if you just have partial success as an entrepreneur. Companies at any given moment can become defunct. Companies can default on their bonds. You may not have tenants to lease your real estate properties out to. There are these covert costs appertaining to investing. However, when you create intellectual properties and you allow your investment portfolio to be comprised of solely your intellectual properties, the only forfeiture on your end is the loss of time. So if you're unsuccessful, does it redound to your disadvantage? Well, the sunk cost is just the loss of time on your end. However, if you are even just partially successful, it can redound to your advantage. It can be so lucrative that if you have over 150 million followers, you could even charge companies $1 million per product placement. And there are a multitude of ways to monetize intellectual properties. There's far more revenue streams that you can bring to fruition other than just advertising revenue streams and sales revenue streams. If you have behemoth brands, you can earn subscription revenue. You could also earn affiliate marketing revenue if you produce affiliate marketing content. You could earn donations from your patrons via Patreon if they support your content. So you can also earn sponsorship revenue, product placement revenue, and your patrons on Patreon may be inclined to provide you with recurring donations. They want to perpetually support your content for the remainder of their lifetime if they so choose to at your discretion. So as an entrepreneur, when you produce intellectual properties, your earnings potential is unfettered. It is uncapped. There's no glass ceiling to how much you can earn. And your earnings potential is predicated upon whether or not your target market deems your content to be worthy of consuming and whether or not your target market deems your products to be worthy of procuring. But because of the global digital distribution power of the internet, and because everyone is entrenched in their mobile devices and in their smartphones, you have the autonomy to generate revenue 24/7 by monetizing your intellectual properties. And in a given moment, content or products that you produce can become viral. So the outcome that can be yielded is indeed life-altering if you are profoundly successful as an entrepreneur. So you do not have to be a traditional investor and squander investment dollars by buying investment securities. Instead, you can create your own intellectual properties, monetize them, and allow your investment portfolio to be one that you brought to fruition and you created on your own rather than one that you bought. And when you create your own intellectual properties, there's no risk of losing money if they are unable to generate enough revenue to meet your revenue forecasts. Then you wouldn't have lost money on the investment of earmarking your time into creating them. You just would have forfeited your time, but it could have been a worthwhile pursuit, since the potential outcome that it can yield can be life-altering if you're profoundly successful as an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur invests his time into producing intellectual properties that serve as income-generating assets to build his recurring revenue streams and provide him with cash inflows that can hopefully offset his cash outflows. You want to be able to profusely create income-generating assets and not waver on doing so. I hope that you found this video to be insightful. Have a blissful day. Goodbye.